The words cut through the humid North Carolina air, sharp as a switchblade. You don't belong in this neighborhood. Women like you don't drive $40,000 cars unless you're selling drugs or selling yourself. Officer Todd Garrett's voice, a cold, calculated whisper, spat through the barely open window of Brenda Collins's vehicle. Brenda gripped the steering wheel, knuckles white against the dark leather. Highway 52 stretched empty before them, a ribbon of asphalt under a late afternoon sun. No witnesses, just the officer and her. "Officer, I own this." Her voice, steady despite the tremor in her hands. It was an assertion of truth, a challenge to his presumption. But Garrett wasn't listening. "Get out now!" He yanked her door open, spinning her with brutal force against the scorching metal of the hood. Her face slammed into the blistering surface, a gasp escaping her lips. He didn't stop. Handcuffs ratcheted tight, steel biting into her wrists, cutting off circulation. "Don't move!" He tore through her glove box, papers scattering onto the hot asphalt like forgotten secrets. Then he stopped, straightened up. In his gloved hand, a small plastic bag. White powder, catching the sunlight, glinting with a sinister innocence. Cocaine. "You're done." Brenda's mind raced, a finely tuned instrument in crisis. That bag. It hadn't been there 30 seconds ago. Her voice, still calm, sliced through the manufactured silence. "Officer, check my purse." Garrett's face, a mask of grim satisfaction, twisted into a sneer. "I don't take orders from criminals." Brenda's eyes, hardened by years in the field, met his. "In 2 minutes, you'll wish you had." His smile vanished. A profound, chilling stillness descended upon the scene. Rewind. 6 hours earlier. Atlanta. Brenda Collins locked her office door. Deputy Regional Director, Drug Enforcement Administration. The nameplate, a testament to 18 years of unwavering dedication, spoke volumes. Cases on her desk could put cartel distributors away for life. But today, the weight of those files, the urgent calls, the demands of federal service, none of it mattered. Today, she was going home. 6 months since she'd seen her mother. 6 months of excuses. Another case, another emergency, another reason to stay away. Until her mother's voice on the phone last Tuesday had stopped her cold. "Baby, I'm not getting any younger. Just come home." Dorothy Collins, 66 years old, voice steady, but tired in a way that made Brenda's chest ache. Not sick, not dying, just tired of waiting. So Brenda cleared her calendar, told her team she'd be unreachable for 3 days, packed a bag, got in her car at dawn. The drive from Atlanta to Riverside, 4 hours. She knew every mile, every exit, every gas station where she'd stopped during college breaks. This highway was her escape route then, her path back now. It was the road between two versions of herself. At work, she was Deputy Director Collins, badge number DEA 4523, top secret clearance, 18 years with the DEA. She ran operations across 3 states, signed warrants, testified before federal grand juries. Last month, she'd dismantled a distribution network moving $10 million in fentanyl. Her colleagues respected her, feared her a little, never questioned her authority. But on Highway 52, she was Dorothy's daughter, the girl who got a scholarship to Chapel Hill, who came back wearing a federal badge and asking questions about justice her mother couldn't answer. The questions had started 15 years ago when Dorothy came home shaking. It was late, maybe 11 at night. Dorothy had been visiting her sister, driving home alone. An officer pulled her over on Highway 52, said her taillight was out, said she seemed nervous, asked to search her car. Dorothy said yes. What else could she do? He found nothing, but he kept her there for 90 minutes, tore through her trunk, her glove box, even the spare tire, made her stand in the cold while cars slowed to watch. Neighbors, people from church. Dorothy never filed a complaint. What would be the point, baby? I didn't have proof, and they protect their own. That story changed Brenda. Made her want the badge, not just to catch drug dealers, but to catch the officers who used the badge as a weapon. Now, she was 2 exits from home. The afternoon heat shimmered off the asphalt. She cracked the window. Pine trees, cut grass. North Carolina summer smelled like home. Her phone buzzed in the cup holder. Work. She ignored it. 3 days. She could give her mother 3 days. The radio played low. Gospel station. Mahalia Jackson singing about troubles, her mother's favorite. Brenda hummed along, letting herself relax for the first time in months. 15 minutes, that's all. 15 minutes until she pulled into her mother's driveway. Until she saw that smile. Until she could breathe without carrying the weight of every case she couldn't close. The road curved ahead, familiar, safe. Then her rearview mirror lit up, red and blue, flashing, steady. Brenda's hands tightened on the wheel. Her heart didn't race, it sank. She knew this routine, had known it her whole life. She checked her speed. 53 and a 55, turn signal on, inspection current, registration valid, no reason for this stop. She signaled right, pulled onto the shoulder, engine off, hands on the wheel, and waited. Officer Todd Garrett took his time approaching. Too much time. Brenda counted the seconds in her head. 30, 40, 50. His boots crunched gravel with deliberate weight. Each step slow, calculated. He was making her wait, making her nervous. Except she wasn't nervous. She was watching. He stopped at her rear bumper, checked the license plate, radioed something she couldn't hear, waited another 20 seconds, then moved forward. His hand rested on his belt, not the gun, but lower, near a small pouch. License and registration. His voice was flat. No greeting, no explanation for why he stopped her. Brenda reached for the glove box slowly, movements clear and visible. Her federal ID was in her purse under the passenger seat, but she didn't reach for it yet. Here you go, officer. Garrett took the documents without touching her fingers, studied her license like he was reading a foreign language. His eyes flicked to her face, back to the photo, back to her face. You know why I stopped you? No, sir, I don't. You were swerving, crossed the center line back there. Brenda's jaw tightened. She wasn't swerving, hadn't had a traffic violation in 12 years, but she kept her voice calm. I wasn't aware of that, officer. That right. Garrett leaned down, peered into her back seat, her trunk, like he was searching for something specific. Where you headed? Visiting my mother. She lives off Route 29. Uh-huh. He didn't sound convinced. What do you do for work? I work for the federal government. His eyes narrowed. Doing what? Administration. Not a lie, just not the whole truth. Administration. He repeated it like the word tasted bad in a $40,000 car. Must be nice. There it was. The real reason for this stop. Not the swerving, not a violation. Just a black woman in a car he didn't think she should own. You got anything illegal in this vehicle? Drugs, weapons? No, sir. You sure about that? I'm sure. Then you won't mind if I take a look. It was phrased like a question. It was not. Brenda knew her rights, knew she could refuse, but refusal meant escalation, meant backup units, means standing on this highway for hours while they manufactured probable cause. She'd played this game before. Different highway, different officer, same script. Go ahead. Garrett straightened. Keys his radio. 1078. Need backup at Highway 52. Mile marker 16. Backup for a simple traffic stop. For a woman sitting calmly in a sedan, with no warrants and no weapons. Brenda's hands stayed on the wheel. She watched in the side mirror as another cruiser pulled up. A young officer, late 20s. He stepped out uncertainly, walked over, nodded at Garrett. His name tag read Reynolds. His body cam was on. She saw the small red light blinking. Good. Record everything. Step out of the vehicle, ma'am. Brenda complied. The August heat hit her like a physical weight. Pavement radiated warmth through her shoes. Traffic whooshed past. Drivers slowed down to watch. This was the part people remembered. The spectacle. The show. Garrett walked to his cruiser, opened the trunk, returned with blue nitrile gloves. He snapped them on slowly, one finger at a time, making sure she saw, making sure she knew what was coming. I'm going to search your vehicle now. Reynolds shifted his weight, looked uncomfortable, wouldn't make eye contact with Brenda. Something about his body language felt wrong, like he knew what came next and didn't want to see it. Garrett opened the driver's door, leaned in. His body filled the doorway, blocked the angle. She couldn't see what he was doing, couldn't see his hands, but she heard it. The click of the glove box latch, the rustle of papers, then silence. 3 seconds of silence. When Garrett straightened up, his expression had changed. Satisfaction, like he'd just found exactly what he was looking for. In his gloved hand, he held a small plastic bag, clear, white powder inside, maybe a 1/4 ounce. Brenda stared at it. She'd cleaned out that glove box last week. There was nothing in there except the owner's manual and some napkins. That bag wasn't there 2 minutes ago, and she knew exactly where it came from. Ma'am, can you explain this? Garrett's voice was steady, rehearsed, like he'd asked this question 100 times before, because he had. Brenda's mind moved faster than her mouth. Training kicked in, federal training. Document everything, control the narrative, stay calm, never let them see you break. That's not mine. It was in your glove box. I've never seen it before. That's what they all say. Garrett almost smiled. Almost. His hand trembled slightly as he held the bag up to the light. Just a tremor, but it was there. Reynolds stood 3 feet back, arms crossed, face pale. He wouldn't look at Brenda, just stared at his boots like they were suddenly the most interesting thing in the world. He knew. Brenda could read it in his posture, in the way he shifted his weight, in the way he kept checking his body cam to make sure it was recording. He'd seen this before, and he'd stayed quiet. Ma'am, I need you to turn around. Hands behind your back. The metal handcuffs were cold despite the heat. They bit into her wrists. Ratchet. Click, click, click. Each notch tighter than necessary. Brenda's shoulders pulled back at an uncomfortable angle. She didn't complain. Didn't give him the satisfaction. A car passed, slowed down. Someone inside pointed, took out their phone. Another witness, another person who would see this and think guilty before they heard innocent. Garrett's radio crackled. Unit 23, 1015 confirmed. Affirmative. Show me 1015. Contraband located, 1 in custody. His voice was mechanical, professional, like he was ordering coffee instead of ruining someone's life. The dispatcher confirmed. Back up en route for processing. Standard procedure for a drug arrest. Except nothing about this was standard. Brenda calculated. She could tell him now. Show him the badge. End this immediately. Federal agent. DEA. 18 years. Game over. But something stopped her. An instinct built from thousands of interrogations, hundreds of investigations. If she revealed herself too early, she'd never know how deep this went. How many others had Garrett done this to? How many people without federal badges, without lawyers, without cameras? How many guilty pleas bought with planted evidence? You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. The Miranda warning sounded distant, hollow. Words recited so many times they'd lost meaning. Brenda focused on what mattered. Evidence. Her car had no dashcam visible from outside, but her phone was in the cup holder. Voice recorder app running. Started the moment she saw those lights. Everything recorded, every word, every action, every illegal second of this stop. Reynolds cleared his throat. Todd, Maybe we should handle the scene, Kevin. Garrett cut him off, sharp, defensive, the kind of tone that says, shut up and follow orders. Kevin Reynolds, 29 years old, fresh face, uncertain eyes. His body cam was still recording. Red light blinking steady, angle from 6 feet back, slightly to the left. He saw everything. Another cruiser arrived. A sergeant pulled up. Gray hair, weathered face, 20 years on the force, probably. He stepped out slowly, took in the scene. His expression didn't change, but something in his eyes shifted when he looked at Brenda. What have we got? Found cocaine in the glove box. Garrett held up the bag like a trophy. 1/4 ounce, maybe more. The sergeant looked at Brenda, at her posture, at her calm face, at the handcuffs digging into her wrists. She say anything? Says it's not hers. Garrett almost laughed. They all say that. The sergeant didn't laugh. Process her at the station. I'll secure the scene. Garrett hesitated, like he wanted to stay, wanted to control every part of this, but the sergeant outranked him. Yes, sir. Brenda spoke. Her voice cut through the afternoon heat like a knife. Calm, clear, professional. The voice she used in federal courtrooms. Officer Garrett, before you take me anywhere, there's something in my purse you need to see. The words landed like stones. Silence. Even the traffic seemed quieter suddenly. The kind of silence that means everything just changed and nobody knows how yet. Garrett stared at her. Your what? My purse, under the passenger seat. There's a wallet inside. You need to look at it. Reynolds went rigid. The sergeant stepped closer. Even Garrett's confidence wavered for half a second. What are you talking about? Look in the purse. You'll understand. Ma'am, I don't take instructions from... Trust me. Brenda's voice dropped lower, quieter, more dangerous. You want to see what's in that wallet before you put me in your car? Garrett's jaw tightened. He didn't want to look, didn't want to give her any control over the situation. But curiosity won. Or maybe it was the sergeant's stare. Or maybe it was the way Reynolds had gone completely still. He reached into the car, pulled out the leather purse, set it on the hood, unzipped it slowly. His hand found the wallet inside. Black leather, federal issue. He opened it and stopped breathing. Silver badge, Federal Eagle embossed in metal. 8 words. Drug Enforcement Administration, Deputy Regional Director. Below that, photo ID. Brenda Collins. Badge number DEA 4523. Clearance level. Top secret. Garrett's face went white. The badge slipped from his fingers. He caught it, stared like the words might change if he looked long enough. They didn't. Reynolds saw it over his shoulder, took 2 steps back, then 3, like distance would save him. The sergeant took the badge from Garrett's shaking hand, studied it, looked at Brenda, back at the badge. His jaw tightened. Take the cuffs off, sir. Now, Officer Garrett. The handcuffs released. Brenda brought her hands forward, rubbed her wrists where the metal bit deep, red marks forming. She didn't say anything, didn't need to. The cocaine sat on the hood, chain of custody broken, defense attorney's dream, prosecutor's nightmare. Except Brenda wasn't the defendant. The sergeant handed back her credentials. She clipped the badge to her belt where it should have been visible from the start. I need your badge number, Officer Garrett. Her voice was different now, not compliant. This was the voice that commanded federal courtrooms, DEA operations, 3 states. Badge number 23459. His voice cracked. And yours, Officer Reynolds. Reynolds stammered it out. Brenda typed both into her phone. Timestamps, location, everything documented. Garrett reached for his radio, fumbled, caught it. 1088. Need supervisor at Highway 52, mile marker 16. 1088. Officer needs assistance. The timestamp read 16 hours, 34 minutes and 6 seconds. 52 seconds from glove box to this moment. That's all it took to end an 18-year career. The sergeant cleared his throat. Deputy Director Collins, I apologize. Don't! Brenda cut him off. You weren't the one who planted evidence on a federal agent. The word hung there. Planted. Garrett flinched. I didn't plant anything. There was probable cause. The swerving. There was no swerving. My phone recorded this entire stop. Brenda gestured to her car. Audio, timestamps, everything. Reynolds went pale. His body cam caught it too. Different angle, same crime. I need to call my chief. You do that. Tell Chief Harris I'll be at the station in 30 minutes. Your department can explain this then. The sergeant nodded. Yes, ma'am. I need copies of all dash and body camera footage. The evidence bag needs proper logging. This vehicle stays secured until federal forensics processes it. Understood. Brenda picked up the cocaine bag, held it to the light. High-quality powder. Street value maybe $600, but its real value was evidence. Evidence of corruption. Evidence of how many others. How many? She asked quietly. Garrett wouldn't answer. Couldn't answer. Any number was a confession. She handed the bag to the sergeant. Document everything. Time, location, that Officer Garrett removed this from my vehicle, and that I completely dispute its origin. Yes, ma'am. Brenda got in her car. Engine started smooth. She rolled down the window, looked at Garrett one last time. I was driving home to see my mother, that's all. Just visiting my mother. The weight of those words settled over everyone. This wasn't a cartel distributor, wasn't a courier, just a daughter going home. She pulled away. In her rearview mirror, Garrett stood frozen in the middle of Highway 52, holding his radio like it might save him. It won't. Because 52 seconds ago, his career ended, and the recording that proves it is already backed up to 3 different servers. Federal servers. Meanwhile, in Riverside, investigative journalist Sarah Mitchell typed the name into her database. 23 results appeared. Her coffee went cold. 8 years as an investigative journalist with the Riverside Tribune. Corruption cases, police misconduct, city scandals, but 23 complaints against one officer, all unresolved? That wasn't misconduct. That was a pattern. She clicked the first file. Complaint to 156. Male motorist stopped on Highway 52. Marijuana found. Charges dismissed due to procedural errors. Second file. Female motorist. Cocaine in glove box. Charges dismissed. Evidence contamination. Third, fourth, fifth. The pattern emerged. Highway 52. Always Highway 52. Late afternoon stops. Solo drivers, almost always black. Drugs in convenient locations. Charges dismissed or pleaded down. Officer Todd Garrett's name on every report. Sarah opened his personnel file. 18 years with Riverside PD. 3 commendations. 0 sustained complaints. Performance reviews. Exceeds expectations. Then she saw it. One line in his 2022 review. Officer Garrett consistently meets and exceeds monthly arrest quotas. Arrest quotas. Sarah searched Department Policy. Section 4.3.2. Performance metrics. Officers evaluated on monthly arrests. Minimum targets. 15 drug arrests per quarter. Bonuses tied to exceeding targets. 15 arrests every 3 months. Or your bonus disappears. Your promotion dies. Your career stalls. A quota system rewarding volume over justice. What could possibly go wrong? Her phone rang. James Bradford. Internal Affairs. You seeing this? His voice tight. 23 complaints. 0 sustained. Nobody had proof until now. He sent video footage. Sarah watched 3 times. Timestamp 16 hours, 31 minutes, and 8 seconds. Garrett at the vehicle. Opening glove box. Body blocks the angle. 3 seconds. Then cocaine appears. Check the evidence room logs, Bradford said. Sarah opened the file. 3 years of inventory records. Cocaine logged for testing. Awaiting results. Awaiting disposal. 8 entries flagged. Red. Cocaine checked out. Never returned. Status. Missing. She cross-referenced Garrett's shift schedule. Every single match. He's stealing from evidence to plant on people. Bradford's silence confirmed it. Can't prove it yet, but the pattern's there. Sarah pulled up bank records. Garrett's Wells Fargo account ending in 3829. Monthly salary deposits, $48,000 annually. But additional deposits appeared monthly. $800, $900, $200, different routing numbers. She checked the bonus disbursement schedule. Perfect alignment. He's getting paid for manufactured arrests. It goes higher, Bradford said. Much higher. High enough that 23 complaints got buried. High enough that evidence discrepancies got ignored. Sarah started typing. This wasn't about one cop. This was institutional failure. A system incentivizing illegal behavior and protecting participants. Her phone rang. Unknown number. Sarah Mitchell. Yes, I can't give my name, but I need to tell you about Todd Garrett. Sarah hit record. I'm listening. I worked with him 2 years, patrolled together. He bragged about his numbers, about how easy it was. You just stop the right people. Nobody questions what you find. Nobody believes them. Did you see him plant evidence? Long silence. I saw things I should have reported. I didn't. But what happened yesterday was my wake-up call. The line went dead. Sarah saved the recording. Source A, anonymous whistleblower. She needed more, but it was a start. Brenda sat in her mother's living room, reading complaint files. Dorothy brought tea, sat beside her daughter, waited. 23 files. 23 people. Anthony Williams. She knew his younger brother. Alicia Davis, church choir. Terrence Wright, barbershop owner on Main. People she knew. People arrested. People who couldn't prove planted evidence because they had no dash cams, no badges, no lawyers who'd believe them. How many didn't fight? Brenda asked. Dorothy's hand covered hers. Most of them. Fighting means lawyers you can't afford. Time off work. Everyone knowing your face in the paper. Sometimes pleading guilty is easier. Take probation. Pay fines. Move on. So they get records for crimes they didn't commit. That's how it works when you can't fight. Every file represented someone who tried, someone who said, "This isn't right." And the system closed ranks every time, until Garrett stopped the wrong person. Bradford called. Found something. Performance metrics aren't just Garrett. The entire department runs on arrest quotas tied to federal grant funding from a private prison contractor, Corrections Corp. or Inc. Brenda closed her eyes. Financial incentive to boost arrests. Exactly. More arrests mean more grant money. More money means bigger budgets, better equipment, promotions, bonuses. The system feeds itself. And Garrett's a top performer. Top 5 for drug arrests. 3 years running because he plants evidence. Can't prove it in court yet, but we can prove the incentive structure. Prove complaints were ignored. Prove evidence room failures. Brenda opened her email. Typed carefully. Recipients: DEA Regional Director Atlanta, FBI Public Corruption Unit, DOJ Civil Rights Division. Subject: Systemic Evidence Planting and Civil Rights Violations, Riverside PD. Her finger hovered over send. This will explode her hometown, put people under federal investigation, make her a target. But she thought about 23 names. Her mother, 15 years ago. The next person Garrett would stop. She hit send. And this is where it gets worse. Because what Sarah found wasn't just about one corrupt cop. It was about why the system let him keep doing it. 3 days passed. Sarah's story published front page. Federal agent stopped after officer allegedly plants cocaine, part of larger pattern. Comments exploded. People sharing stories. More names. More Highway 52 stops. More drugs from nowhere. Bradford's investigation expanded. One officer became 4, then 6. 23 complaints became 68. Phone calls flooded internal affairs. More victims, more witnesses, more officers who saw things and stayed quiet. The evidence stacked higher. Complaint after complaint, bank record after bank record, evidence log after evidence log, each piece building a case that couldn't be ignored. Sarah wrote follow-up articles, interview after interview. The story grew. Local news picked it up. Then regional, then national. Small-town police department under fire after federal agent targeted. The pressure built. City council demanded answers. Mayor's office scrambled. Police union lawyers worked overtime. At 5:00 p.m. on day 3, the Riverside Police Benevolent Association released a statement. It didn't defend Garrett's actions. It attacked Brenda instead. The union statement arrived by email. At 5:00 p.m., Sarah read it twice, then called Brenda. "You need to see this." The Riverside Police Benevolent Association didn't mince words. 2 pages, single-spaced, aggressive from the first sentence. Officer Todd Garrett is a decorated 18-year veteran with an exemplary service record. 3 commendations, 0 sustained complaints, a dedicated public servant who has risked his life protecting this community. Sarah kept reading aloud. The allegations against Officer Garrett represent a rush to judgment based on incomplete information. While we respect Deputy Director Collins's position with the DEA, her federal credentials do not place her above scrutiny or beyond the possibility of error. Brenda's jaw tightened. There it was, the spin. Not defending Garrett's actions, just questioning her credibility. "It gets worse," Sarah said. "They're calling this a political attack on law enforcement, saying you have an anti-police agenda, that you're using your federal position to weaponize a routine traffic stop." "Routine?" Brenda's voice was cold. "He planted cocaine in my car." "They're not denying that directly. They're just creating doubt, making people question whether you're trustworthy, whether this is really about justice or about you having an axe to grind." The statement continued. Mentions Brenda's mother's complaint from 15 years ago, suggests this is a personal vendetta, family grudge, not about evidence or truth. How did they even know about my mother? Public records, complaint files. They did their research. Sarah paused. "Brenda, they're going after you hard. Local news is already picking it up. Conservative outlets are running with it. Social media is exploding." Brenda opened Twitter. The hashtag was already trending. #StandWithGarrett. Thousands of posts, Blue Lives Matter profile pictures, thin blue line flags, comments calling her an anti-police race baiter, federal overreach. Her phone rang. Her supervisor at DEA Atlanta. "Brenda, we need to talk." His tone said this wasn't good news. "I've been getting calls from Riverside officials, from the police union, from North Carolina representatives. They're saying you're conducting a personal investigation that should go through proper channels. I was targeted. Evidence was planted on me. I believe you, but there's pressure, political pressure. They're suggesting you should recuse yourself. Let another agent handle it. Someone without a personal connection to the case. I am the case. I know, but they're making noise about federal-local relations, about cooperation, about not wanting this to become adversarial. Translation: let it go. Make it quiet. Don't rock the boat. I'm not backing down. I'm not asking you to, but be aware. You're making enemies, powerful enemies, and they're going to fight back. He hung up. Brenda sat in her mother's living room, the same living room where she sat 15 years ago, listening to her mother describe being humiliated on Highway 52. History repeating. Different decade, same tactics. Dorothy came in, face worried. "Baby, there's a police car outside." Brenda looked through the window. Riverside PD cruiser parked across the street, engine running, officer inside just sitting there watching the house. Not hiding, wanting to be seen. How long? About an hour. Just sitting there. Message received. We know where you live. We know where your mother lives. We can be here anytime we want. Brenda called Bradford. There's a patrol car outside my mother's house. Intimidation tactic. Common in cases like this. They want you scared. I'm not scared. I'm angry. Good. Use that. But be careful. They're going to escalate before this is over. The doorbell rang. Dorothy jumped. Brenda put a hand on her arm. Stay here. She opened the door. Neighbor from 3 houses down. Mrs. Patterson, known her since childhood. Brenda, I just wanted to say, we saw the news. We know you. We know you're telling the truth. Thank you. But some folks, they're talking, saying you're causing trouble, saying maybe you should just let this go for the sake of peace. There it was. The pressure not from police, but from community. From people who just want things to stay quiet, who don't want conflict, who'd rather ignore injustice than face uncomfortable truth. I can't do that, Mrs. Patterson. I know, baby, I know. Just be careful. She leaves. Brenda closed the door, leaned against it. Her phone vibrated constantly. Text messages, emails, some supportive, most hostile. Colleagues from the academy, former partners, people she thought were friends. Maybe you should think about this. Is it really worth destroying your career? We need police. Don't make this harder for the good ones. The isolation set in. People choosing sides, most choosing the safe side, the side that doesn't require them to question authority, to admit systems fail, to acknowledge that badges don't automatically mean trust. Dorothy sat beside her. They did this to your aunt back in the 90s. She tried to fight the school board. They went after her job, her reputation, her friends. She eventually stopped, said it wasn't worth it. Was she right? Dorothy was quiet for a long moment. At the time, maybe. But those problems she tried to fix, still there, still hurting people. Maybe if she'd kept fighting. Her voice trailed off, but the message was clear. Brenda looked at the cruiser, still parked outside, at her phone, still buzzing with hostile messages, at her mother's worried face. She thought about the easy path. Recuse herself, let someone else handle it, go back to Atlanta, back to her normal cases, let Riverside protect its own. Then she thought about 23 complaint files, 23 people who had no choice but to give up. Brenda sat at her mother's kitchen table. The termination threat letter sat open in front of her. Official DEA letterhead, legal language. The message, cooperate quietly or face administrative review. The kitchen clock ticked loud in the silence, each second counting down to a decision. Dorothy stood at the stove, tea kettle whistling. She poured 2 cups, set one in front of Brenda, waited. Outside, the cruiser was still there. 3rd night in a row, engine idling. The officer inside changed every few hours, but the message stayed the same. We're watching. Brenda's phone vibrated. She didn't look, hadn't looked in 2 hours. More hostile messages, more former colleagues choosing sides, more people telling her to let it go. Baby, Dorothy's voice was soft, tired. Maybe they're right. Brenda looked up. What? Maybe this isn't worth it. Your career, your safety, our peace. Dorothy sat down. Her hands shook as she wrapped them around her cup. I'm scared. They're going to hurt you. They can't. They can, and they will. Dorothy's breathing was uneven. You think I don't remember your aunt? She fought the school board. They destroyed her, took her job, her reputation. She moved away and never came back. This is different, is it? Dorothy's eyes filled. You're fighting people with power, people who protect each other. And you're doing it alone. The old house settled. Floorboards creaked, sounds that used to mean safety. Now they just meant vulnerable. Mama, you remember that night 15 years ago? Dorothy's face hardened. Of course, I remember. Tell me what happened, Brenda. Why? Please? Dorothy was quiet, then started talking, voice low. I was driving home from your aunt's house late. Officer pulled me over, said my taillight was out. I checked the next day. Nothing was wrong. What did he say? Asked if the car was mine, where I got money for it, if I had drugs. I said no. He didn't believe me. Made me stand outside while he searched, ripped everything apart, found nothing because there was nothing. Dorothy's hands tightened. Other cars drove past. People I knew watching me get treated like a criminal. Why didn't you file a complaint? Because I was scared. I didn't have proof. No dash cam, no badge, just my word against his, and we both know whose word they'd believe. If you had fought, then maybe you wouldn't have to now. Dorothy finished the sentence. I know. I've thought about that every day. Distant traffic from Highway 52 drifted through the window. Constant reminder of where this started. Brenda looked at her mother's hands. 66 years old, still shaking when she talked about that night. 15 years later, still carrying it. The system counted on Dorothy being afraid. It's counting on Brenda being smart, but smart and silent aren't the same thing. Sometimes you don't fight for yourself, you fight for the next person. Brenda picked up her phone. She's not calling to back down. She scrolls through contacts, finds a name she hasn't called in 3 years. The phone rings twice. A voice answers, rough, older, surprised. Brenda Collins, I didn't think I'd ever hear from you. Lieutenant Raymond Bennett, retired from Riverside PD in 2022, one of the few good ones, one of the ones who left because he couldn't stand what the department became. Lieutenant Bennett, we need to talk. Lieutenant Raymond Bennett, retired in 2022, had been silent for 3 years. Not anymore. They call them performance metrics. Bennett's voice was steady on the phone. Tired, but steady. We called them quotas, 15 drug arrests per quarter. If you didn't hit your numbers, you got written up, passed over for promotion, stuck on night shifts. Brenda listened, took notes. I sent a memo to Internal Affairs in 2021. Warned them the pressure was creating problems, officers taking shortcuts, making questionable stops. The memo got filed. Nothing changed. Do you still have a copy? I have everything. Kept it all when I retired. Knew someday it might matter. Bennett emailed the documents. Brenda opened them. His 2021 memo to IIA. Subject line, performance metrics. Concern. 3 pages detailing how arrest quotas led to bad stops. Questionable searches. Evidence that appeared too conveniently. I should have done more, Bennett said. Should have gone public, but I had 2 years until retirement, pension to protect, family to feed. So I stayed quiet and hated myself for it. You're speaking now, that's what matters. What happened to you was my wake-up call. If they'll do it to a federal agent, they'll do it to anyone. Bennett's testimony opened floodgates. Other officers called. Not many, but some. Enough. Officer Kevin Reynolds, the backup officer at Brenda's stop. His body cam caught everything. He came forward, offered to testify, said he'd seen Garrett do questionable things before, but never had proof until now. Sarah Mitchell's phone didn't stop ringing. More victims, more stories. 8 people provided notarized statements. Anthony Williams, stopped in 2019. Cocaine found in trunk. Charges dismissed after testing showed the powder didn't match arrest report descriptions. Alicia Davis, stopped in 2020. Pills found in console. Testing revealed legal medication. Charges dropped, but arrest stayed on record. Terrence Wright, stopped in 2021. Same glove box placement Garrett used on Brenda. Same plastic bag. Same excuse about swerving. The pattern was identical across all 8 cases. Late afternoon, Highway 52. Solo drivers, almost all black. Drugs appearing in convenient locations. Charges often dismissed, but damage already done. Sarah wrote the follow-up story. 4,000 words, every detail, every receipt, every witness. The Riverside Tribune published it online at dawn. By noon, it's gone viral, picked up by state papers, regional news, national outlets. By 3:00 p.m., the local NAACP chapter held a press conference. Standing room only. They demanded a federal investigation, independent oversight, review of every arrest Garrett made in the past 5 years. By evening, a community meeting filled the Baptist church on Main Street. 200 people, overflow crowd standing in the parking lot, listening through open doors. Pastor Williams speaks. His son, Anthony, stands beside him. This isn't about one bad officer. It's about a system that protected him, that ignored complaints, that valued numbers over justice. The crowd responded, not with anger, but with determination, organized determination. They formed a coalition, Riverside Accountability Now. Lawyers volunteered, activists mobilized. Every arrest Garrett touched will be reviewed, every complaint reopened, every victim supported. Brenda watched the live stream from her mother's living room. She's not alone anymore. The fight isn't just hers. Dorothy sat beside her, squeezed her hand. You did this. We did this. Brenda's phone buzzed. Bradford. The federal report just landed. You need to see this now. The federal audit was 89 pages long. Page 43 changed everything. Brenda read it twice, then called Bradford. Tell me I'm reading this right? You are. Corrections Corp., Inc., a private prison contractor. They paid Riverside PD $340,000 over 3 years, listed as public safety grants. Grants based on what criteria? Arrest numbers. More arrests mean demonstrated need for correctional facilities. More need means more funding. More funding means more grants to local departments. Brenda scrolled through the audit. The financial trail was clear, damning. Every quarter, Corrections Corp. reviewed arrest statistics. Every quarter, they adjusted grant amounts based on performance. The department's budget presentations showed it plainly. Line item. Federal grant revenue increases every year, tied directly to drug arrest rates. They literally get paid more for arresting more people. Correct. And it's not just street-level arrests. The audit shows Chief Harris received $45,000 in administrative bonuses over the same period, bonuses tied to department performance metrics. Chief Harold Harris, 22 years with Riverside PD, last 8 as chief. The man who buried 23 complaints. The man who signed off on Garrett's performance reviews. The man who benefited financially from a system built on manufactured arrests. Where's the email trail? Brenda asked. Bradford sent another file. This is the part that's going to break this wide open. Email dated June 14th, 2024. From Chief Harris to all supervisors. Subject, Q3 performance goals. Team, we need to hit 180 drug arrests this quarter to maintain our grant renewal with Corrections Corp. Current numbers put us at 135 with 6 weeks remaining. Everyone needs to step up. Promotion considerations will reflect individual contributions to departmental goals. Translation: make more arrests or your career suffers. Another email, July 8th. Supervisor to Garrett specifically. Todd, you're at 8 arrests for the quarter. Need minimum 12 to meet expectations. 15 to exceed. Highway 52 patrol should provide opportunities. Let's get those numbers up. Direct pressure. Documented pressure from supervisor to officer. Make arrests. Hit quotas. Don't ask how. Brenda kept reading. Email after email. The paper trail of a corrupt system. Not just Garrett. Not just one supervisor. The entire command structure participating in or enabling a quota system that incentivized illegal behavior. City council budget meetings showed they knew. Approved budgets based on projected grant revenue. Projected revenue based on arrest forecasts. Arrest forecasts requiring officers to find drugs whether drugs existed or not. Mayor's office knew. Emails discussing how Corrections Corp. Funding helped close budget gaps, allowed equipment purchases, funded salary increases. The entire political structure built on a foundation of manufactured crime. 129 arrests flagged for review, Bradford says. 68% involving black defendants. 43% had charges dropped or reduced. Evidence integrity questions in 31 cases. How many convictions need to be overturned? We're still counting, but dozens, maybe more. Dozens of people with criminal records for crimes they didn't commit. People who took plea deals because fighting seemed impossible. People serving probation, paying fines, unable to get jobs, housing, loans, all because a department needed to hit numbers to get paid. Sarah's phone exploded with the story. She's already writing the headline. Federal audit reveals Riverside PD received hundreds of thousands in grants tied to arrest quotas. By evening, every major outlet picked it up. CNN, MSNBC, Fox News, NPR. The story goes national. Riverside Police Department, population 43,000. Small town, big corruption. Chief Harris issued a statement denying personal knowledge of any quota system. Claims performance metrics are standard law enforcement practice. Says the grants were properly administered through legal channels. But the emails said otherwise. His name on every budget approval, every grant application, every performance directive. City Council called an emergency session. Public testimony, September 3rd, 5 days away. Garrett will be there, Chief Harris will be there, and Brenda will be ready with every receipt. City Council chambers, September 3rd. Every seat filled. Cameras everywhere. This is national news now. Council President banged the gavel. Deputy Director Collins, the floor is yours. Brenda approached the microphone. Federal badge visible on her belt. No notes in her hands. My name is Brenda Collins, Deputy Regional Director, Drug Enforcement Administration. On August 16th, Officer Todd Garrett planted cocaine in my vehicle. Silence. A collective intake of breath. I have recordings. Video showing the glove box empty before he searched it. Body cam from backup officer showing his movements. All time-stamped. All documented. She paused. Let it land. This isn't just about me. Internal Affairs records show 23 complaints against Garrett. 19 involved black motorists. 0 were sustained. She clicked the remote. Screen lit up behind her. Officer Garrett received $14,000 in performance bonuses over 3 years, tied directly to arrest numbers. Next slide. Evidence logs. 8 instances of cocaine missing from evidence. All during Garrett's shifts, all matching weights in his arrests. Next slide. The email. Large, clear. Chief Harold Harris wrote, "We need to hit 180 drug arrests this quarter to maintain grant renewal, June 2024. Murmurs spread through the room. This department rewarded arrests over justice, manufactured evidence, ignored complaints to protect $340,000 in grant funding from Corrections Corp. US Inc. She looked at Chief Harris in the front row. 129 arrests need review. Dozens of wrongful convictions. People serving probation right now for crimes they didn't commit. All because this department needed numbers. The room erupted. Applause, shouts, cameras flashing. Garrett's attorney stood. My client invokes Fifth Amendment rights. No testimony. Garrett walked out. Every camera followed. He didn't look back. Chief Harris stood, approached the microphone, face red, voice shaking. These allegations misrepresent standard practices. Performance metrics exist in every department. We had no knowledge of improper conduct. Council member Diane Foster interrupted. Chief Harris, we received your budget presentation in June. It outlined grant revenue tied to increased arrests. We approved it. Complete silence. Foster's face went white. She just admitted the council knew, approved the system, enabled everything. I mean, that wasn't... The budget was just... Too late. Sarah Mitchell's phone was already recording everything. Council president banged the gavel hard. Motion for independent federal oversight. Immediate consent decree. All in favor? 7 hands rose. Every single one. Unanimous. This department is under federal investigation. Effective immediately. The crowd erupted again, cheering, some crying. Justice, visible in real time. Chief Harris sat down, stared at his hands. His career just ended on live television. Garrett was already in his car, driving away from cameras, from questions, from accountability that finally caught up. By 6 a.m. the next morning, Chief Harris's resignation letter arrived by email. 2 sentences, no explanation. City Council scheduled another emergency meeting. Police union threatened lawsuits. Conservative media called it overreach. Progressive outlets called it overdue. But the consent decree stood. Federal monitors arrived within a week. Every policy reviewed, every arrest examined, every officer interviewed. 129 cases flagged, 34 convictions overturned in the first month. More coming. Todd Garrett's termination was immediate. No pension, no appeal, federal charges pending. Outside the chambers, Brenda stood in the parking lot, phone to her ear. "Mama, it's done." Dorothy's voice cracked. "You did it, baby. We did it." Officer Todd Garrett's termination was effective immediately. No pension, no appeal. Federal charges for evidence tampering and civil rights violations pending trial. Chief Harold Harris resigned. The Department of Justice opened a criminal investigation into corruption and fraud. Council member Diane Foster faced recall petitions. Mayor's office scrambled to distance itself from the scandal. 129 cases entered mandatory review. 34 convictions overturned in the first 60 days. More coming. People walking out of probation offices, records being expunged, lives being restored. The reforms came fast. 5-year federal consent decree. Mandatory body cams for all interactions. Evidence room gets dual custody protocols. Arrest quotas banned and written into city code. Independent civilian review board established. $2.3 million allocated for a compensation fund. Not enough to fix what was broken, but a start. 6 months later, Brenda drives Highway 52 again. Same road, same heat, same pine trees, but different now. Patrol cars pass without stopping. No more profiling, no more planted evidence. The world is watching Riverside now. She pulls into her mother's driveway. Dorothy stands on the porch, smiling. Some people saw a target that day. She became the catalyst for change. The badge doesn't grant immunity. It demands accountability. And when systems fail that standard, it takes someone willing to risk everything to remind us what justice actually means.